Statistics say between 3 to 7 years, that's where most divorces happen. Between 3 to 7 years of a marriage, that's where most divorces happen. That's according to the statistics, which means within that gap, there are things that are common. But let's just talk about how we can glide through the moments that life throws at us. Let's try our level best to put our mind on how to sustain this vehicle called a marriage. What keeps it going? With many failing, with many falling, the reasons are many for marriages to fail. But just in basic talk, you must understand this and keep it in your head. Everything that caused another couple to divorce, another couple became stronger because of that. Number one. Number two, everything that's causing another couple to divorce, another couple is still gliding through that. No matter which reason you put across, there is a couple that has failed because of that. And there's a couple that's still going on in spite of that thing, despite the problem. They are still okay. So the ultimate theory that you think this is the golden reason, this is the deal breaker for a marriage. There are so many marriages still okay within that same reason that has caused another marriage to break. Now, the thing with the breaking up or the divorcing of marriages, you must also understand that the difference in every marriage, in every husband, in every wife, the big difference is tolerance. The biggest difference, you can do your research, with every man, with every woman, with every couple, is tolerance. You may throw many reasons like money, faithfulness, and all that. Yes, but we have rich people divorcing, we have poor people divorcing. We have rich people still together, we have poor people still together. So the difference, one of the main differences, there are some who have long distance relationships, they are together, some have them and they are no longer together. So every reason you can throw out there exists on both sides. It's working for some, it's not working for some. But I'm just going to give you a basic guideline of what sustains marriages, what sustains most marriages based on experience, and some people I would have asked and a bit of research. The difference with all couples, with every man, with every woman, is tolerance. This tolerance is also called patience. That is one of the major differences in every man and every woman who is married. Tolerance, patience. Most of the problems, you can relate them to that point there. For some, they have longer patience. Some have very short patience. Some can tolerate, some can't tolerate. So you can zoom in on any reason and you ask, why are these still together in spite of this? the patience and the tolerance part there is playing a vital role. Some things you'll be wondering, why would the person still be in a relationship like this? You come across the patience and the tolerance side there. That's one of the major reasons. But that is the difference among the couples from what I've personally seen and noticed. Why? Because marriages who test a person totally, they'll be tested at 100% by a marriage. Every woman, every man will be tested at full length by their marriage. So there are things that will happen to make sure the marriage is tested. It doesn't matter how you start. You may start very perfectly. You may start very rocky, but the tests are gonna happen and we cannot skip the tests. Okay? The difference when the tests come is how you respond to the tests, how your partner responds to the test. That's the difference. And also whether they fail or they pass, how the other person is patient about it, tolerant or not. It's the tests are gonna come, and the tests are part of marriage. Every marriage breaks on a test. Every marriage breaks or continues on a test. For someone to say, I'm done with this marriage, there is a test that they failed somewhere there. You are saying, she did this, he did this. Yes, that was the test. Maybe he failed and it failed the marriage, or she failed and it failed the marriage. But one thing is guaranteed, there will be tests in a marriage. So the tests of a marriage, they come in two parts. There's the test that is going to happen to an individual, and then there's the test that's going to happen to both of you at once. The individual tests, usually they happen privately. When you are not with your spouse, that's when these individual tests are happening. When you're together now and you're going through life together, that's when the combined test happens. So every marriage now, the divorce part, the quitting part happens on a test that was failed. Either the husband failed dismally and it costed his marriage, or the wife failed and it costed her marriage, or both failed and it costed their marriage. How? What do they fail? Who has failed? The tests that come in a marriage, I'm just going to talk about the basic ones. Family is one of the tests. Relatives. There will be situations you cannot avoid or hide or ignore relatives. They are part of the journey. They are part of the system. Relatives. Some people will put their relatives above their marriage. Some will put their marriage above their relatives. Some will allow relatives to run it down. Some will be getting wrong advice. Right? So the tests that come in a marriage, relatives being one of them, they are part of the journey. Grandma so and so said this, uh, um, this auntie thinks this about me, this person says this about me. Relatives, how do you handle the test of relatives? Because relatives will talk without fail. Relatives are part of the test of a marriage, and they will talk. They will talk. They will be part of the system. Um, the wife's side, the husband's side, they will both sides have their own opinions on your marriage. You can't avoid that. You can't ignore that. It's part of the journey. What are you gonna do on the test of relatives? What are you gonna do about that test? If you fail that test, it will cost your marriage without fail. So the test of relatives, we can also stretch it to the test of friends. They are almost the same, the tests there, the trials there, but they are different because relatives, you can't wash them away. You can't remove them from the picture. Friends, however, we can just make new friends, but can you make a new mother? Can you make another father? Can you make another brother? These are part of the system. Another nephew, another aunt. These are going to be there in the journey in the long run, no matter what. So relatives now are more like an established test. They will test your marriage. They will speak. They will have opinions. On this test specifically of relatives, if you don't know how to handle it for your partner's sake, it will ruin your marriage, or they will control your marriage. It's just that simple. That means you must be careful what you say about your partner to your relatives. What they say is their opinion. They are entitled to it. But what you say now will encourage, or it will keep it going. It will agree with their theories or disagree with their theories. And if you're not careful on the relative side there, on the relatives part of the test, if you are not careful, it has the power to ruin your marriage. So someone thinks it is wise to be closer to the in-laws, and someone thinks it is not wise to be close to the in-laws. You see, all these are tests either way. They come with being married. The relatives test. God gave me grace. I'll give you more detail on it, but for now, you get the picture. You must be able to handle the test of relatives when you are married. And you must be able to handle the test of friends. Now, on the test of friends, here's something you must understand. Friends know your spouse more than the relatives, unless the relatives are friends as well. You must know your friends know that person you have more than every other person you can think of. It's on the friends that the conversations are had, that all the issues with their fantasies, exes, and all that, it's the conversations within the friend zone. Relatives are just there to protect their territory as we raise this person. This is our person. But friends now, they are the person. Friends know your person more than anyone you can think of. There are relatives who also qualify to get to the friendship level. Yes, those now, they exist. But basically, the test of friends, if you are not careful, friends have the power of influence over your partner. And if you fail now on the test of friends, you might ruin a marriage for the sake of keeping certain friends, or because you leaned your ear to listen to certain friends. You might lose your marriage, or you might actually keep your marriage because you've got good friends. Good friends exist, but they are not as common, unfortunately. imomo in this issue of friends, that's where we hear some funny stories that will happen now. He was caught with my best friend, she was, all these things happen. So the test of friends is part of the tests that happen in a marriage. And how you write that exam, how you handle that test determines everything. If it's not handled well, it can end your marriage, or it can actually make it stronger, so to speak. So pick your poison. The test of friends. Beware of the test of friends. So we mentioned the test of friends there, that is going to happen, but the other test that comes in a marriage, some of the tests, right? I'm just picking the basic tests there. And this test determine also whether your marriage will stand or it will fall. They have power really to bring it down or to keep it going. Excuse me. So the tests, one of the tests that will come in your marriage is the test of finances. The test of finances now is tricky because you're not always on the same wavelength of what you think is the wise thing to do with the finances. So because of that, most of the time, some marriages begin to lack transparency because he is afraid, if I show you all the money I have, he's gonna she's gonna make plans, and she's afraid if he knows all the money I have, so for some people finances are not even a problem at all. They have really conquered that bridge. But in general, the test of finances is very strong when it comes. If it's not handled well, it will also bring about blame. You don't know how to handle finances. You do ABCD. You bought that was necessary. You did this. You did that. But if it's harnessed well, if it's dealt with well, the reality is sometimes in a marriage you are not both good at finances. Sometimes it takes humility for both of you to actually see that when he has money or when she has money, we are going forward when money is under these hands than these hands. There is more losses on this hand and there is more stability on this hand. So getting to a point now of discovering that, you know what, finances are handled better by my partner takes humility. And it's a test very few can actually say, hey, we went through that and we passed it. It's not always the case where both of you are flowing in the same financial ideas, financial wavelength. Sometimes one of you is better to handle finances. And if you work around it, you can actually say, whatever money we make, we are submitting to this one. And then we discuss along this one. And you actually see you're going forward because one of you knows better. He has better knowledge and handling capabilities on finances. So that's the financial test. If it's not handled well, because you'll be going through so many financial things, you hate each other, you'll be broke, you'll be bitter. Many things are done because life in general demands money to flow. So the financial test in your marriage is not to be handled lightly, but it's a definite test. It will come or it comes, right? After the test of finances, we have the test of loyalty. Among the tests that will come to a marriage, this is one of the toughest ones. Let's say your husband is working or your wife is working. Whatever they do without you watching, that's where the test of loyalty comes. Whatever is being done behind the scenes, whatever your man is doing behind your back, whatever your wife is doing behind your back, that's the test of loyalty. Things that are done without you being aware. This is one of the toughest tests that many marriages go through and many fail. The reality is, not everyone respects your husband as your husband. Not everyone respects your wife as your wife. Some people out there are just seeing another woman. Some people out there are just seeing another man. They might actually know and still don't care. It's part of the society, it's part of the system. But how your partner is handling the loyalty test behind the scenes affects the marriage. If they conquer it well, your marriage is sealed. It's cheat proof, so to speak. Whether the pressure is coming on him or on her, the pressure will be there. As long as two people are not with each other and the other one is there, the other one is there, there will be temptations. There will be tests. When these tests are handled properly, they gain confidence in your marriage. When they are failed a lot, when there's a lot of failing on this test of loyalty, it opens a door. The doors now that are opened by failing the test of loyalty are dangerous doors. One of the doors is revenge. You did it, one day I'll do it too. So you have a lot of couples that are you you sit down with and you want to do counseling with, and you hear that one and saying he started it or she started it. So now you create a cycle or a chain of hating each other, and it keeps on going and going. You did it, he did it, she did it, you do it, you keep on going, you keep on hating each other and hating each other and hating each other. It has to stop somewhere. If you don't address it, it's going to lead to divorce or it's just going to be the end. But it has to stop somewhere. It has to stop somewhere. Someone has to stop it. As long as the chain is going because of a loyalty test failure, you're saying, okay, so two can play that game. And then you keep on going and you keep on going. What you're doing is you have created this cycle. The pain is there. Pain is pain. Even if you're saying he deserves it, I deserved it, she deserves it, he deserves it, the pain will be there. No one has the ability or the heart that is strong enough to handle a heartbreak. No one. It's just handled differently, but the truth is pain is pain. What causes these heartbreaks is investment. The moment you invest yourself in someone, any failure, any loss, any mistrust issues, they affect you, no matter how mature you are, no matter what you tell yourself. So you have to be careful of the loyalty test. It's part of a marriage. It's part of every marriage. That's where most marriages break. You did not respond well when the test came. You failed when the test came. So the loyalty test is chief among the deal breakers for men. How a person responded to maybe friends, or a workmate or someone or relatives. Loyalty. Beware of the loyalty test in a marriage. It's one of the deadliest. It has so much weight. It has run down a lot of marriages. No one enjoys being disrespected. No one likes being disrespected. No one likes being made a fool of. No one likes it. Even though some have sailed through, either way, beware of the loyalty test. So we look at the loyalty test as I had mentioned. The loyalty test. We look at it. We look at the financial test, the relatives test. We look at the friendship test. One of the tests that will come as well is the test for character. Character. On this test here, that's where you come across the stubbornness of a person or their bad side, their bad habits. They come as a test. This test that we are talking about here, the character test, if it's not handled well, you hear stories that we tried, it failed. She just won't stop doing ABCD. He doesn't get me, he doesn't understand. Deep things within that a person, ideologies, their ways of thinking, their ways of doing things. This character issue is a very dangerous test. When it's not handled well, you can even, that's where some people start beating each other. That's where we start having issues of domestic violence and someone saying, you know what, I prefer to spend more time with alcohol than being at home. People are now doing things to just step away from the character of their partner. The partner is now manifesting. And in response now to this character trait that is not changing, people respond differently. They respond differently. Everyone has a way that they will respond to character issues, character-based issues. How are you in attitudes? How are you in the way you handle people? How you see people? How do you respond to things in life? You see? So the character test is also part of the common tests that come through in a marriage. Now, all these tests, we can combine them, there are so many more. But these are just like the pinnacles, the hallmark tests, the main ones, the common ones I can just present to you. These tests now, all of them, you can pass them, you can fail them. You can sometimes pass them, sometimes fail them. But these tests are going to happen, and they are part of the marriage journey. Where most marriages are failing is because of failing to pass or to respond one of the tests. In some marriages, one individual is failing dismally, and because of that one individual, it costs the whole marriage. In some marriages, both of them are failing. In some, both of them are very good at certain areas, they are passing them. But whatever the case may be, when the tests happen, when your marriage is being tested, you must be humble enough to know the exam that is coming for your marriage. You must be humble enough to know how to respond to this test that will be presented to you. If you don't put in the work, you can kiss your marriage goodbye. Be able to study your tests. What sustains you through all these is the ability to know, to be patient, to understand, to learn, to grow, to know when you're wrong, to be able to fix what can be fixed, to heal where healing is necessary. I'm going to talk about healing on a different class, whether it's from past mistakes or what. We'll talk about healing. But the tests determine whether your marriage is going to last or it's going to fall. It falls on one of the tests all the time. The falling of marriages is among the tests. Pass the tests. Sit down. Know areas that you are wrong. Fix them. Change where you can. Get help where you can. When it comes to counseling, be careful who's giving you counseling. Why have you picked that person to give you counseling? Don't go to someone because you like them. Pick the right counselor for your marriage. You know exactly what your marriage is going through. Which is why most people prefer to go to someone elderly because they'll walk the journey. But either way, get help where help is needed. Help each other where you can help each other. Respond to the tests very well and you will make it. How your marriage is going to be sustained is by the way you're going to respond to the tests of the marriage. They will be there. Some have tolerance, some don't. Some have patience, some don't. Some need to find patience, some need to find tolerance. Some, their patience feel like it's being abused. There are many issues. For some people, on the character issue, there you also find that's where you have domestic violence and all that. It's part of the test in the marriage. So they have to be fixed. They have to be responded to. You have to. Some tests that will happen, they determine the husband to put in the work. Some determine the wife to put in the work. I did not talk about intimacy because I'll talk about that on a different class altogether, just dealing with intimacy. But pass your tests. Pass your tests. God bless you.